The Honourable Deputy Government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I know there's a lot of people who want to speak to this important motion today, so I'm going to try and keep my comments as well to 3 or 4 minutes. There's a quote, Mr. Speaker, that says, "The living owe it to those who no longer can speak to tell their story for them." And that's why we remember, Mr. Speaker, every year on November 11th, Remembrance Day, or sometimes known as Poppy Day, is a Memorial Day that's observed in the Commonwealth since the end of the First World War to remember the members of our armed forces who died in the line of duty. And my mind go back to my district, where I've been the representative since 2013, and I think of the services that are faithfully held each year in places like Clair on the hill, a lovely little memorial there, down in West St. Modeste, where we have the Rangers that get involved. In Lodge Bay, Mr. Speaker, there's a number of women that came together because all of their sons served, and actually it's thought that Lodge Bay, that little community, may have the highest number per capita of people in uniform in the country. And so there's a number of communities. People come from Charlottetown, Port Hope Simpson, Mary's Harbour, St. Louis to attend and to remember. And then as we go further north, there's always a service in Cartwright. And I always wished that I could be at each of them. And I remember growing up, raised by my grandparents, Mr. Speaker, and my grandfather would talk about how the neighbours would come in, our homes back in yesteryear, very large kitchens, and people would gather around a radio, and you know the would be lots of static and not clear, but they'd be trying to get word of what was happening with the war, because in coastal Labrador, you know, all these years ago there was not a lot of the amenities, but I remember those stories. And so it's very important, Mr. Speaker, that we remember. You know, the member for Terra Nova spoke with emotion because he has experiences, obviously, that that's a part of his journey that we can't relate to. And while things like pain and grief and various things is universal, everybody's journey is a very private and personal one. So no doubt the war have had different impacts, Mr. Speaker. You know, when you look up memory in the dictionary, it says the faculty by which the mind stores and remembers information. And I've no doubt from, you know, I had the privilege, tremendous privilege one year to lay a wreath on behalf of the province down at the War Memorial. And as I looked around at some of the elderly faces, I thought their experience that day would be different than mine, Mr. Speaker. And when you think about it, 2 minutes are scarcely enough time really for thought and reflection. But as we pause each year and we bow our heads, we remember those brave men and women who courageously volunteered for our freedom and for our peace. And I think the important thing for all of us to remember, Mr. Speaker, is they fought to preserve a way of life. We are all such proud Canadians, everyone I meet, and even when we look at this pandemic we're going through now, we're just so proud to be in Canada, where we seem to be faring better. The Canadian values, the freedom that we enjoy today and often take for granted. We remember that the silence is to honour their sacrifice and memory. And so in closing, Mr. Speaker, you know, one day every year we pay special homage to those who died in service to their country, and we remember the brave men and women. And for one brief moment of our lives each year, Mr. Speaker, we remember why we must work for peace every day of the year. And I think it was the Government House Leader that alluded to this House is often filled with lively, spirited debate, a democracy that we are able to appreciate and enjoy because of the sacrifice that others gave, Mr. Speaker. So I too, like others, will just close with a quote, and then I will pass the clock over to someone else who'd like to speak. "They shall not grow old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them." Thank you.